Cam, Voyager antagonists, we are thinking about not just aliens, but kind of the individuals that attack our crew and maybe chew the scenery while they're at it. Is there one in particular?
Or some baguettes.
Some baguettes, if you're talking about one Anorax from Year of Hell.
Yeah.
Believe me, people, watch that again. He is into the cheese and the baguettes.
And the olives.
And the olives. We are not joking here. Cam, tell me, though, is there one that jumps out to you? Maybe you just spilled the beans there.
Maybe we should just talk about Anorax right off the bat. Kurtwood Smith played him. Kurtwood Smith, Star Trek legend, was the president of the Federation in Star Trek VI.
He was also in flashback episode with Odo. This man gets around Star Trek.
Sure, and he shows up in this two-parter as this guy who's manipulating the time to try to recover his wife, and it does not go well.
Why is that, Cam? Is this just a man, much like other antagonists in Star Trek, kind of driven by a single-mindedness to a certain degree?
Yeah, he's not exactly really taking all the variables into the major equation.
It's the butterfly effect. Even Ashton Kutcher figured it out, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So, I still
Ethan Suplee's walking in as a goth at one point.
Yes, but it's that '70s show connection. You know, everybody's into it there. So.
But I love when Anorax, has his dinner with Chakotay and Tom Paris. It's very James Bondian, and you really get a sense of why this guy is just out of his mind.
Yeah.
Like why he's dangerous, but also why he's sympathetic and why we actually understand, if not sympathize with his plight. And so that when the episode is over and he's still, he's been reunited with his wife thanks to Voyager's actions and Janeway ramming the ship, at the end with the "time's up" catchphrase, which is amazing. But you have him still maybe destined to do the same thing over again, and that's really the curse of this character and why he's so tragic and so fascinating.
Yeah, another one that introduced in Star Trek First Contact, but the Borg Queen appears again and again on Star Trek Voyager, whether it's Susanna Thompson or whether it's Alice Krige, just kills and sizzles on screen. So much chemistry between the actresses, Janeway, as well as Seven of Nine, as well as the Borg Queen themselves. I just think that there's always kind of this seduction narrative going on about whether you can entice Seven of Nine back into the collective, what Janeway is able to offer Seven of Nine versus what the Borg Queen is. Maybe it's a sense of self-importance versus a sense of self. And I think that's kind of an intriguing, kind of angel on one shoulder, devil on the other side of the shoulder there. And I just love everything that's going on with the Borg Queen. And it could have just come off as kind of like a little bit of fan servicey, but they don't go down that route. They actually give the Borg Queen really cool, interesting things to do, including, I think an assembly line sort of scene that kind of rivals her grand entrance in Star Trek First Contact.
And a couple explosions.
We've been there before.
Yeah. I've got a really quirky one that I'm going to throw out there because I think everyone kind of knows the Voyager favorites, and I'm sure we're going to talk about a couple of them still. But
Maj Kala.
Sulon, who, of course, is the Vidian scientist who cuts off a Voyager member's face and wears it in the Season 1 episode Faces.
Okay, so yes, a memorable moment.
It's
or
incredible.
A horrifying moment, but
very Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But does that make him one of the greatest villains of all time?
I have never forgotten this character. This character unsettled me to my core, and I actually found him scary.
Okay.
Which I would not say for any other Star Trek character I can think of, that when they were on screen, I was genuinely like, what the heck is going to happen next?
But totally memorable one. But he's just not as nuanced as somebody like Anorax or the Borg Queen. So that's why.
Not, but he leaves an impact.
That's why, I can't bring him to kind of that same level there with them. So for me, another one that I think is kind of maybe we'll name one of the aliens though. But 8472.
Oh yeah.
If you bring in kind of one of the antagonists that is actually able to defeat one of the all-time antagonists of Star Trek, that ups the stakes to a great way. And think about that teaser with regards to Scorpion Part 1. All you see is, the Borg doing their usual, we are the Borg Collective, blah, 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 resistance is futile. And then they're blown away in just seconds there.
Right.
I think that sets everything up. We've never seen aliens like this before, whether they have they're tripedal. Yeah. They're in fluidic space. They're just... Remember that pile of Borg corpses that they created?
Yeah.
They were frightening to me.
Yeah.
And say what you will about where they end up by the end of the series, which is kind of lame, but...
I was going to say, the Borg are very much the ultimate cool Star Trek big bads for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you remember the marketing for the 1998 Matthew Broderick Godzilla?
I actually do, yes.
Yeah, where it had the Godzilla foot stomping on the T-Rex skeleton.
Yeah.
Which was very much we're better than the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. I feel like that's the way it is with Species 8472. They show up, they stomp the Borg, but ultimately in the long run, the journey of the Species 8472 ends about as well as that Godzilla movie.
Yeah, well, the other thing from marketing I do recall, though, is bigger is better.
That's right.
There you go, 8472.
Very tall. But also, Rudy Ransom, another villain who shows up in Equinox, that two-parter. Really interesting. I mean, he's one a little more like, again, like Anorax, where you really understand why he's doing what he's done, and also why he's someone who's very dangerous.
Yeah, well, I just wonder where... Okay, we've seen Janeway push to the brink again and again, but she always comes back eventually to those Starfleet and Federation principles.
Yeah.
What if this guy was just somebody like her who was pushed to the brink just one too many times,
right,
to the point where Janeway was not even going to be able to handle it? That's what I find so fascinating. It's such a cool what-if episode, and seeing Rudy Ransom, who is a scientist, very much like Janeway. He's like kind of like a xenobiologist. He was famous for that. I am fascinated by what somebody can be put to at this point. And look, John Savage, he just absolutely killed it on screen when he was there.
Literally, those poor aliens.
Yeah.